Whoa!
Jeff and Jeremy in the morning.
It was probably, I think it was after 5. I was just trying to follow. I was coming home from my last day working up at the fair, and I got home about 8:15, and I didn't see this till almost 9 o'clock. And then I was trying to track back on when it happened. It looked like it was, the news came out right about 6 o'clock.
It was dark when they started running news reports on it, so it was...
the video of people actually on their phones when it was going on, it was still daylight.
Yeah. So they, this guy, Santino Lagon, is a 19-year-old, and he was strapped. He ended up cutting through.
Oh, they have a name now?
Some of the fencing there, and he was one of the ones that was killed.
The latest I heard, 3 people were died, and that was including the shooter. So that means he had killed 2 people, and the cops killed him. Mm. And he cut through a fence.
Cut through a fence, and
awful, just terrible.
Yeah, they took him down. 15 other people injured, and we're asking the poll question this morning. How does this make you? I mean, listen, we live in festival land. Okay, there's a festival. What's the festival this weekend?
There's so many festivals
this weekend?
Every weekend in every city all around the country. In a town where we grew up, over the weekend, it was the Kuski Day Parade. You remember Kuski, Idaho?
No.
What a redneck sounding name.
No.
And the lead in the parade was an excavator. Isn't that what your father-in-law drives?
Uh-huh.
The big dig things?
Yeah. The big dig things.
So my point is, there's literally, this could happen anywhere at any time.
Yes. But when you have an increased amount of festivals, it would increase your chances. Like in Kuski, I'm sure they have one festival a year, and that's when the excavator goes down Main Street. But here...
It's actually on a flatbed truck, but...
Here on the Central Coast, it would tear up the street.
They have to... They put it on a trailer.
They're a little harsh on
but somebody
asphalt.
Was very proud of that piece of equipment, for sure, yeah.
Pretty hard on the asphalt. But here, we have a festival every weekend. Some weekends we have 2-3 festivals. Just got done with a very big festival at the California Mid-State Fair. So we ask you the question this morning: does it affect you? Does it affect your view of going to a festival? Listen, the most innocuous, most safe place I would have thought to be yesterday would have been the Gilroy Garlic Festival. I've heard so much about it over the years, and I've heard that it's such a fun time and it's a good event, and if it was a little bit closer, probably would have taken my kids to the Gilroy Garlic Festival, but I didn't yesterday, and I'm glad I didn't. But this has got to get me thinking about festivals and whether or not to go to them.
It doesn't affect me. I mean, I guess I'm not affected the same as you are. I'm not.
I'm not affected.
I'm not scared to go to festivals. I'm scared to go out because some 19-year-old, mentally screwed up in the head. I realize that could happen anywhere. You could be driving down the street and somebody could be driving the wrong way because they're drunk and they could kill you. That just happened.
He's not all that messed up in the
Somebody
head.
can be driving into a crowd of people downtown in any city at any day because they're mentally screwed up in the head.
Yeah, but this guy is a terrorist who picked the soft target that has a lot of people at it, and that was a festival. And he picked it intentionally because he knew he could do his most damage there. Just like the people that shoot up nightclubs go into a nightclub that is packed because they know that they could do the most damage there. So while you say that these people are mentally unstable, they might be mentally unstable, but they still get it. They still know where the most people would be. So when you assemble in a group of people,
I'm not arguing with anything you're saying. I'm just saying it doesn't change my mind.
For some, it may change their minds because you're like, I don't know. I remember there was something that went down. I don't know. One of these mass shooting events went down shortly before we were to attend a parade in Seattle. We were going to go to the Thanksgiving Day Parade. And, which is actually the day after Thanksgiving, so I don't know why they call it the Thanksgiving Day Parade. But nonetheless, we were going to go to the parade, and we opted not to because we're like, there's an opportunity for copycats. Not very familiar with the city. We wouldn't know where to get out or the best way to get out, given the circumstances. So we're going to probably opt against going to it this year. Now, nothing happened at that parade, and, that's just the way it is, but we wanted to err on the side of safety on that. 805-543-3693, the 805 Beer text lines, and also the numbers to call in. Is it affecting you?
Let's see. Willie writes in. He says, it doesn't make me any more worried, but I understand where you're coming from. It's depressing, and it hits close to home. So you feel that for your kids and your family. Anyways, you can let us know what you think. 805-543-3693 are the number.
We appreciate correspondence and you guys keeping us up to date on everything that's going on, because we get reports, but we don't have a TV in here. So we don't get like up to the minute reports. We get up to the hour reports. And Patrick writes in and he says a little bit more behind the people that were killed at the Gilroy Garlic Festival. He said there were 4 killed, including the shooter. I think earlier we said there were 2 others that were killed. So we were missing one. The other 3 were a 6-year-old boy, and his mom is in critical condition along with the grandma. He also continued on, and I guess he heard the story probably on the news, said that the dad stayed home with his daughter because he was studying for his electrician's exam. Oh, that's just heartbreaking stuff to hear. We're talking about the Gilroy Garlic Festival and whether or not that will affect how you view festivals and how you
CBS News is reporting 4, but they're not saying anything specifically to it. I hate getting into this game of where everybody's just kind of playing telephone and they're all writing in, and we're just going to read whatever anybody writes down that happened, So we don't have all the specifics, and I don't think anybody does yet. And as time goes on, they'll probably know more.
Well, Patrick, on the 805 Beer text line, this seems to.
Yeah, I realize that, but But you just said that a 6-year-old died. The mother and the grandmother were both in critical condition, so they didn't die. So that means they have a shooter and one other person. So who are the others? We don't have that information. My point is, Jeff, just be careful reading whatever, because everybody's playing this game of telephone, what they think they see on social media, and relaying that to us. And of course, we appreciate that. But
does it make it better if I say according to Patrick?
No, I think we should just turn people over to watch the news. And the problem is, I was trying to watch the news last night, and they were having a hard time keeping.
It just happened.
This was 3 hours later, and they finally did a press conference last night. We got a little bit of information, but there was still a lot of questions they couldn't answer. Motive.
Right now, the Surfnet Communications poll questions
suspect
is how will the shootings at the Gilroy Garlic Festival affect how you will attend festivals in the future? Kind of a mixed bag so far early on in the poll question. 28% saying it won't. 28% saying they will go to festivals when they have better gun control. And 42% saying that they'll be cautious, but will still probably go to the festivals.
Let's see. Mike is on the line, and he's actually in law enforcement. Wanted to weigh in on that. Go ahead, bud.
The venues need to allow off-duty law enforcement to carry their concealed weapons into these venues, and they'd have a lot safer time if they were allowed to do that. The Mid-State Fair does not allow you to do that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking when Jeff kind of brought this question up, and I thought, God, here's 12 days. I think millions of people go through that fair, right? I mean, it's a million?
I think it's hundreds of thousands.
You don't think it's a million people?
I don't think a million people go to that.
In 12 days? Gosh, there's just so many people there.
I don't think a million people go to the California
hundreds of thousands is still a lot of people.
I think it's on the low end of hundreds of thousands.
And I'm always thinking, if somebody, was thinking this out, planning this out, premeditated type stuff, and they're preparing for this, how many people are able to take a person down like that? And, I think back to...
those guys wearing the event staff shirts.
If more trained people...
You're putting your trust in those guys.
Right, that were armed, were there, they would be able to stop something if it happened much faster. There would be less casualties and things like that. So...
Right.
I hear you.
It's a difference between off-duty law enforcement who's trained in it and just a regular concealed weapons holder. The off-duty law enforcement knows how to move, knows how to speak, knows where to go, knows how to shoot, and just allowing that would make a huge difference in increased first-person on the actual subject or target and being able to stop things, way faster.
I'm not against that at all because of all the reasons that you just laid out. I mean, you guys are trained. It's part of your job. I mean, what are you going to do? Give up your career on an accident? I mean, you're going to make sure you have the training there. Whereas if you just let every Tom, Dick, and Harry who's got a weapon go into a place like this, they could make the wrong decision. In this instance, the Gilroy police at the festival, they're taking care of everything. They knew once they heard the gunshots fire where to go, and they engaged in fire with the suspect.
I don't have the information, but I feel it was fairly quick. I don't think
they said it was in a matter of minutes that they engaged the shooter.
Thanks for the call, Mike. We appreciate it. And so, yeah, it's good to know that there was a law enforcement presence there, and they were able to do it as fast as they were. And to think if there wasn't law enforcement there, how much more damage could be done.
Well, that's why I say the guys wearing the yellow shirts at some events that you go to. How trained are they? How to deal with that situation?
Well, the staff guys,
the event
staff.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I have no idea where they get those guys. Are some of them police officers? How many police officers are contracted?
I think just a lot of those guys are just like you and me, and this is their part-time job,
side hustle,
and they work for a company that trains them on how to do crowd control.
Okay.
So I think I think there's no law enforcement activity happening there. So completely separate from somebody who actually conducts the law and knows the law and can.
But I mean, there's got to be some kind of laws that say you have to have a certain amount of law enforcement at an event, at a gathering of 1,000 people or so. Right?
I bet you're right.
I would hope so. I would hope so, but I don't know. I've never gone to a festival and asked the people taking my money at the festival. So how many police officers are going to be here? But maybe that's something that we should start doing.
Subscribe to the Jeff and Jeremy podcast now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, and YouTube. It's your Central Coast commute-friendly podcast.